Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ceres Podcast. In today's episode, Mark Petrou is joined by Will Burrell from Yarm Road Fish and Chips in Darlington. To some of you, this shop name might go unnoticed, but I think if you listen to this podcast and you follow the Fish and Chip Awards and you read our articles, you will know that Yarm Road Fish and Chips have just been crowned Takeaway of the Year at the National Fish and Chip Awards by the NFFF. We are sorry for the delay in getting this one out. It's been about a week since they won their prestigious award. In credit to Mark Petrou, I think he was stalking Will at the awards, and rumour has it that Mark was at the bottom of the stage with his invitation to the Ceres Podcast just after they'd been crowned. But jokes aside, it's still quite early to touch base with Will about, how it feels, I guess, because it is so early on and we don't know what sort of significance it's had to their business yet. However, we think it'll be great to get Will back on in the future for other episodes to look at how it's gone and look back on it. But, it's great to have Will on, and he's always welcome on our platform. At Ceres, we are always working on something special. We have built a powerful suite of calculators designed to help you break down your costs and boost your profits. But more so, it's about understanding your inputs and outputs, because for us, that's crucial. And without knowing that information, you're running a business absolutely blind. These calculators help you get a clear picture of your business finances, ensuring you know exactly where your money is going. Visit our website, give them a try, and take control of your numbers. Today's sponsor is the Ceres Fish Cake Mix. Are you tired of losing profit opportunities with fish? Are you sick of boiling potatoes for ages, or just don't have the time? Well, look no further than the Ceres Fish Cake Mix. With cod and haddock prices fluctuating, mostly going up, maximising profit is more important than ever, but not at the cost of quality. For example, in this episode, you'll hear how Will always cuts to a 200-gram portion approximately. Can't be, as exact as that. And with their trimmings, they are making fish cakes. Our Ceres Fish Cake Mix allows you to turn every ounce of fish into profit without compromising on quality. Instead of discarding trimmings or leaving the fish to go out with a customer, and then one customer getting a 250-gram fish and another one getting a 220-gram fish, this eliminates that problem. So, it's fast, easy, mega profitable. You can prepare fish cakes than it takes to even boil potatoes. And we've curated countless recipes to help you get started. For the perfect finish, pair them with the Ceres rustic breadcrumbs, designed especially for fish cakes because they won't look unappetizing after cooking. Make more profit today with Ceres Fish Cake Mix, available now at ceres.shop. If you also want to get exclusive insights, special offers, and the latest industry news straight to your inbox, join our mailing list at www.ceres.shop. All the links will be in the episode show notes as well. So, you can sort of join everywhere, whether it's an article and so on. And we try and make it really easy. And also, it's easy to opt out as well. So if you're sick of us, just click the button, off you go. We don't hold you in hostage. But it's the best way to stay ahead of the business, because we will be sending you everything up to date as it's live. We have an email that goes out every Wednesday, and that's packed with special offers, news, podcast news, and so on. All right, now for the big one, let's get into today's episode with Mark Petrou and Will Burrell.
Will,
hello.
Welcome to the Ceres Podcast. Delighted to have you here. You're the champion of the fish and chip business.
I know, mate. Can you believe it?
No, I can believe it. I really can. Tell me how it feels. Have your feet touched the floor yet? What's trade like?
Yeah, honestly, I think the few people, well, I've spoken to quite a few people over the past few days, and I was saying, you just try to be humble and all this, but we went down to the awards. Obviously, you want to win. That's what you're there for. You go to try and win the award, but to have your name read out in first, you could have blown me over the feather. Honestly, we were chatting just before the announcements were made. I'm going, and I said it in my little speech as well. It just felt like the competitors and the finalists were that good and that high a standard that we might just fall short. But yeah, to get over the line is it's an unbelievable feeling, and it's not just 8 years in this shop really. It's the 20 years that my mum and dad did before that, and when I was a kid growing up in the shop, all that has kind of come to fruition.
Come to that one moment.
Absolutely, yeah. It's special.
Well, I was obviously in the room. We'd not ever spoken before that day, but we did get a chance in the evening to have a meet and a greet, and I was an instant fan. You were
that's very kind.
So humble, so passionate about fish and chips, and the judges obviously made their decisions based on everything that you did. And you said at the time, I think, that you felt there was a bit of imposter syndrome going on.
Massively
you felt that, but you earned it. Nobody can take that away from you. I want to unpack the whole competition process. But before we do that, before we get to that, and we talk about the people you're up against in the final and the judging, we need to go right the way back to the beginning. Missing out the bit where you're in nappies. I want to know at what point in your life you realised, fish and chips is for me. I want you to tell me how you got into the trade, where you started in life, and how you ended up in Yarm Road. And take as much time as you want. I'll try not to interrupt you, but I want the listeners to know their new champion, and to do that, we've got to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So where you go?
So really, it was as my parents are in the business in Barnard Castle. Had been there 15, between 15 and 20 years, and they'd done well there, and decided enough was enough. Sell the business. Have a few years out, see what happens. I went off to university in that time period, and just towards the end.
So you were working in their shop then?
Yeah, when I was honestly I think it was from when I was 5-year-old. That's really from what I can remember, which is
you can remember fish and chip shops being in your life from 5
me
years.
Me and my sister would go with my mum. My older sister, she's 2 years older than me. 2-3 times a week, because my dad was just working all hours, God sends, as he did back then, just to make it work. And we would go in 2-3 nights a week after school, just to be there really. And I could remember obviously going in for a bit of tea, but then going into the storeroom where me and my sister would make boxes for hours on end. Just keep on going and keep going. And then as we got a little bit older, we'd be in the kitchen doing the washing up. And then it just progressed from there, really. I'd then start doing the spuds with my dad, making batter for him, all that type of thing. And it was just, it sounds a bit cringy, but it was just a bit of a lifestyle at that point, really. It was school and fish and chips.
Yeah, and the smell of a fish and chip shop becomes kind of familiar. It's almost like home.
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
it?
Yeah. And it got to the point, where if we didn't go in, we'd be thinking, well, what's going on here? We need to get in and get a bit of work done.
So you were bred as a slave? Really.
Absolutely, child labour. Yeah, unpaid. Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears in there.
Well, I think the audience will be able to relate to it. A lot of people come into fish and chips that way.
Yeah, I don't think it's an uncommon story at all, really. So it does feel like it is in the blood. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you went off to university. What did you study at uni?
Did business and management. Well, actually, funnily enough, I started out doing sports science It was always because we'd sold the business and we weren't kind of sure what the future held. I'd always been big into my sport and played it all through my life as well. And physiotherapy was kind of on the fringes as something that I was quite interested in. So I started doing sports science, really quickly realised that it wasn't for me. So jumped onto a business and management course. And the rest is history. Did 3 years of that. And then how helpful it was to my career now, I'm not too sure. I think it might be referred to as a bit of a, don't want to be offensive, but a bit of a Mickey Mouse degree.
So those, I guess it was broken down into things like organisational structures and functions, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And then did you do a bit on law as well, and a bit on marketing and business management?
Absolutely, all of the above.
Sounds like the Mickey Mouse degree I did before I got into I did business studies at Greenwich University as well.
Yeah.
So similar path.
It didn't really go down the avenues that I thought it was going to. But I don't think you realise really how much you do learn just being there. And
I was going to say that you take stuff out of that.
You do.
And it does come into use at some point.
And actually being at uni got me. I was working part time, which kind of became nearly full time because the course wasn't overly demanding, and it was a new startup in Leeds, which was an Indian street food kind of bar restaurant. I don't know if you know Leeds, but it was in the Trinity Centre.
I lived in Leeds for 3 years.
There you go.
Yeah. During the lowest point of my life.
Yeah, say no more about that. I actually started that business with them guys, just as an employee, obviously, but with my background in fish and chips, we were all kind of able to come together and push it on. So, yeah. And with that, I actually learned quite a lot to take on with me from there.
Yeah, so you developed your work ethic working in the family business, because you do go above and beyond when you're working in a family unit, don't you? You do what needs to be done. You never work into a clock.
No, it's not a choice, really. No.
So, what happened when you left uni? How did you progress back into fish and chips?
So it was in my final year of uni that I was back home for a couple of weeks over the holidays at some point, and we were driving. We're not actually from Darlington, which is obviously where the shop's based. We're from about 15 miles out, but Darlington's kind of like the local big town to us. And we were driving and it is just on the outskirts of town, really, near this retail park. And there was an empty car phone warehouse, and it was just me and my dad in the car, and we just kind of it sounds a bit ridiculous and a bit cringy, but we kind of turned to each other and went, that'd make a great chippy, that, having not really seen it before. And as I say, it was empty. They'd moved over into Curry's in the retail park, the car phone warehouse. Yeah. And honestly, from that moment there, my dad managed to track down the landlord after months and months of trying. There was just like no information out there of who this property belonged to. Managed to get in touch with him. Took on the lease, and that was that. We went for it.
Amazing. So, help me with the timeline. How long ago was that?
That was 8 years ago now.
So you'd have been 21?
Yeah, absolutely. 21, 22. And just finishing up at uni. So we got the shop fitters around to have a look, and just got the ball rolling. And then by the time I was finishing uni, we were about ready to roll.
Were you saddled with loads of student debt as well? 3 years of studying?
Oh, still am. Yeah, crippled. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cheap money if you can keep your wages low.
Exactly.
You can ride that.
There's ways and means, isn't there?
Yeah. I have plenty of experience of that. So, your dad's Graham,
yes,
and your mum's Julie, and they're involved in the business too.
Massively so. Yeah, I don't really want to. I mean, I've kind of just been the face of the business for the past 5 years or so in a way, but
stop it. Take some credit, for God's sake.
I can't understate their influence, because I've learnt everything from them, for one, and with them in the background, the advice, the support is invaluable. You really can't replace that. And they're there, and they're still very, very active. Like, my mum's huge on the accounting side of the shop. My dad's huge on the procurement side, and that runs all the way through, whether it's energy contracts, fish. We just kind of pull together and do it all together, and it makes life a hell of a lot easier.
Okay, let's do some housekeeping then, because I'm really keen, because I know a lot of people are going to want to hear and get as much knowledge sharing out of you as possible. Let's do a bit of housekeeping. What are you frying?
We're in beef dripping. It's quite a regional thing. It's not something that we can see moving away from, really.
Okay. What's the most popular fish that you sell?
Cod.
So you're in. You're not that far from Middlesbrough. You're not that far from York.
Yeah.
You're right. I would describe as being up north.
Absolutely.
You're up north.
Yeah.
But you're a cod area. How much further do you go before it starts to be haddock?
It's kind of, so County Durham, I would say, is quite cod. North Yorkshire, cod. But it's kind of I think it's when you kind of get to York and Leeds, that's just haddock. So, there seems to be a really fine margin between where it stops and starts.
Yeah. So, being an ignorant southerner, I thought it was like when men started wearing skirts. that's when it was haddock. When they start talking funny. I thought the Scottish was haddock, and then it was cod. But it's lower than that, isn't it? And I think with the current cod prices, it's going to start changing. I think that's going to start. That's going to start.
I think there's definitely going to be a push for it, but. And it's not that we don't want to move with the times or try new things, but we really feel like we know our demographic, and
you know what your customers like.
We can't give haddock away, honestly. Yeah. We'll sell 200 cod to one haddock. We do offer a haddock, but
it's a hard sell.
It's a really hard sell, unless it's people that aren't necessarily from the area, and of course there's people that prefer haddock. Like, that's. It's a given, but
so you've got quite a tight menu as well, haven't you?
Yeah, very traditional menu.
You make your own fish cakes.
We do.
And what else can you tell me about your menu?
We like to keep it really traditional, and again, that's kind of to do with the demographic that's around us as well. It's a real traditional area, and the amount of customers that we have that actually refer to the fact that it's traditional and that we don't have a doner spit in the back and a pizza oven firing away. It's quite remarkable, really.
Just focusing heavily.
And actually, I find like fish and chips is hard enough to get right. That's our passion. And I think if there was a pizza going in the back and a load of burgers on a grill somewhere, I think your product suffers. And I think that's where we've succeeded, is just banging the drum for fish and chips.
Do you use a flow cup?
We do in training. Yeah. But it's
Okay. What do you flow at?
We between 28 and 30 seconds.
Brilliant.
There you go.
I'm desperate to get up and try your fish and chips. 28, 30 seconds. That's going to be some pretty light, crunchy
That's it.
batter, isn't it?
That's the key.
Yeah. I don't want this to feel like an interrogation. I want you to tell me more. So you found the site at Yarm Road. What happened then? Were you busy straight away? Did it take some building?
Yeah, it was a real quick turnaround in terms of getting it built, because it really was just an empty shell at that point. You know, there's not much to a car firm warehouse, so there wasn't much to get rid of. Stripped the walls back. We used a elite shop fitters who are actually doing our up and coming restaurant out at the moment.
I'm going to talk about that later. I know about that.
And it was probably, I think it was about an 8-week turnaround. It was remarkable, really.
Elite are good, aren't they?
They're really just no nonsense, and they know the industry, and they know what works. Dave was really helpful, even just with designing the shop. Stuff.
Did you come up with the branding?
Yeah.
Did you come up with so that's all a bit of you?
Yes.
The logos.
Absolutely. We just wanted to kind of harness what Darlington's got to offer, really, and it's the first steam train was from Darlington Children.
I've seen that on your packaging.
Yeah,
it's cute.
It looks good. We thought let's delve into the history of Darlington and let people know what it's all about.
Yeah, you kind of anchored yourself, like deep rooted into the community, just with your branding, which it's not just cute; it's actually smart and super.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. No, we think it looks good. Yeah,
yeah, brilliant. So you got open, things are chugging along. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to go into the competition? What was the motivation for that? And tell me about that process.
Yeah, well, bizarrely, well, maybe not bizarrely, but we'd always known about the awards, and we'd always supported the awards. We'd been down to the awards previously. Well, my mum and dad had more so, without entering, and I think it was really just wanting to have. We spoke about it a couple of years beforehand, so this was our second time entering. So we've only done it for 2 years. And we spoke about entering, and then something kind of crops up, and we just wanted to be, without sounding awful, just in it to win it, really. And we didn't really want to leave. I didn't want to leave too much to chance, so it was a case of feeling like we'd got the shop to a point with the team, with the product, with everything, with the appearance, to really give it a good go, and to try and do well in it. Yeah.
So, your mum and dad have got bags of experience. You've been working alongside them. How do you enter for the first time, having never done it before, and come second? How does that work?
Yeah,
because
I'm asking the same question.
No, I mean. I know the process. I know how robust the judging process is. Mm-hmm. As humble as you have been, there must be a heck of a lot of work going on in the background to make sure that all your due diligence is right. Your paperwork's in order. The place it isn't just spotless, and the product isn't just spotless, but you're ticking all the boxes in terms of branding, legal compliance. I need you to unpack some of that for the listener.
I think
was there a process, or you just wanted,
But I think
how does it work?
We've always been perfectionists. From the day we opened our doors, it's never been half-arsed. It's always been buy the very best products we can buy, have the best kind of HR resources we can use, have the best staff training that we can possibly do, and it all just rolled on from there, really. And it was just about keeping it going and keeping it consistent, and that's really all I was. I mean, we have done the quality award for a lot of years as well, which there is quite a few crossovers there to the Takeaway of the Year award. So that prepared us quite well, and it was kind of from there, in a way, where the judging from the quality award, we were kind of said, you really need to be entering. You need to. You've got a lovely shop, you've got a lovely product, you've got a great team. Go for it. So that was a little nudge in the right direction as well.
Okay. So you entered, you came second. How did that feel last year to come so close at the first attempt?
Remarkable. We could not have been happier with second, because we didn't think we'd place at all. Obviously, with it being our first time, think, well, for whatever reason, whether external factors, internal factors, you think, oh, these guys have been in the awards for quite a few of the shops have been in for quite a few years. They'll know the crack. They'll know how to perform well in the system. But I guess the judges obviously just bought into what we were doing, and it's really quite. It comes from a really, really genuine place with us. There's no rubbish. There's no fibs to try and get extra marks. It's all, and I think that shines through as well. It's the paper entry at the start. Our whole business genuinely reflects everything that we've said in there. So yeah. So the guys that beat you last year, Ryan, great shopship deck,
amazing guy. I had him on a few weeks ago. Great story. He took a more conventional route. He kind of paid his dues with the Young Fish Fry of the Year, and then got close a couple of times, and then actually won it. And then you just kind of rode in and just took at the second
attempt. It definitely feels that way. Yeah, kind of new kids on the block. No one really knows who we are, but that's quite a nice feeling as well. Just to swoop in without too much pressure.
Who did you fear, or who did you?
So I actually said this to the guys from the shop. I'm going to say after the awards, which is the Fishworks up in Largs. I always look at them guys and think that is a real proper shop, proper operators. Looks amazing, social media is amazing, all of that. So yeah, that is certainly a shop that we look up to.
Yeah, they did well, didn't they? Did they come? They
came third last year, which it's interesting really. When they came third last year, I had kind of turned to my dad at the time and said, "Oh well, no worries, not our year," because I just could never see us edging past those guys. And then when they came second this time, I kind of said the same. I was like, oh, well, if they're second, we're not going to be first. So, yeah, interesting how it goes.
I'm going to be speaking to Ross next week. He's coming on the podcast as well. And, again, you had two former Young Fish Fries of the Year in the final as well. Zohab. He's won Young Fish Fry of the Year.
Yeah.
And of course, Lauren Kellaway from Kellaway's as well.
Yeah.
Became third this year.
Yeah.
She's extremely talented.
Absolutely.
Operator as
impressive.
Well. Yeah. There was it was a good crop of finalists this year, wasn't it?
And Jamie from Red Cloak as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Young Fish Fry. Current Young Fish
Fry. Yeah. So there was all these shops that we were looking around at and thinking, look at the accolades they've got, look at all the wealth of knowledge that they've got, and all the experience of which we had little. So,
how's Graham been?
I don't think he's quite got his head around it yet, to be honest. I think from that moment we got announced, he's been on cloud nine, to say the least. Yeah.
Brilliant. So what do you want to do with your year? Because being the champion, you're the mouthpiece or the spokesperson for the industry. You're going to be called upon to represent the industry over the next 12 months. Is there a schedule of things that you've been asked to do? Are you, or are you just waiting to see as they come up? Is there anything in particular you'd like to use your new standing in the fish frying community to do? And everybody says world peace, so don't use that.
No, I think, and I mean this already happens and has happened for years, but it's just to kind of share the knowledge that we've gained throughout the years. And help shops that are maybe struggling, the slightly smaller shops on the back street of a town who just need that bit of advice or a bit of encouragement to really see the business succeed, that would be a huge thing for me. And just really to be able to bang the drum for supporting the tradition and the industry that is fish and chips. I just want to be able to stand up and really showcase it.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest challenges are going to be during for this year while you're a champion for the whole industry, and how do you think you can influence that?
I think it is just going to come down to raw material and energy costs. They're the big things. Obviously, without boring everyone, we all know fish is going through the roof. Energy bills are through the roof. So they're the big ones, and it's just going to be about getting the industry as a whole to push on with prices a bit more. We all know. You go out, you get a Chinese takeaway, an Indian takeaway. In terms of value for money, don't think fish and chips can be matched. We're still under a tenner for a regular fish and chips. Really? Yeah, which that's very which good. Is still, and that's not us in this supposed race to the bottom. Our margins are still there on that, but. Yeah, I think we've got to just have a whole drive as an industry together, just to keep pushing it a little bit, and make sure that the smaller shops can survive.
Do you think it's possible then to manage your margins and still get regular cod and chips for under a tenner? Because I'm struggling. I've been in my shop for 37 years, and probably by the middle of April, once these new NI changes and minimum wage changes come in, I'm going to be 25 quid for fish and chips twice, regular fish and chips twice. Yeah. For you having the title of Fish and Chips Shop of the Year, I don't expect you to profiteer from it, but to put fish and chips out regular for under a tenner, that's a good price.
Yeah.
It's always worth driving up to you for fish and chips.
Yeah. Well, as I say, it is worked back. It's not kind of a rough estimate of where we think we need to be.
It's where you need.
That is where we need to be profitable, to provide value for money, to be competitive, and all the rest of it. So yeah.
You're on 32 plus. Did I read? I read in Fry magazine that you went from 16 to 32 to 32 plus.
We did. We were always 16 32. Went to 32 plus, and now actually this last year we've come back down to 16 32. And that was just because of availability and price at the time, really. And the quality we found wasn't there was no difference for us. So we like the 32 plus. It's great, huge, great white, big flakes, which is what everybody likes. But we can still achieve the same product with 1632, and the price is there's a huge difference for us at the moment.
And Dad Graham does the procuring of the fish. Who cuts the fish?
We've actually got three of us that cut the fish now. Right. Just to you got to try and alleviate pressure where you can. I'm all for working all hours God sends, but you've still got to keep a bit of sanity as well, haven't you? And
you really have.
I mean, as I say, I watched my dad do it for 20 years, every hour God sends, and I don't think it did him too well in the end.
It gets you in the back in the end.
Yeah, it does. You can only keep going for so long. So he's taught me that as well, as much as he's a grafter. He said, just don't run yourself into the ground. Try and enjoy it and get a good team around you, because that's what you need. So three of us cut fish now, and you wouldn't know who'd cut what fillet.
That's the way it needs to be.
Yeah,
isn't it?
And that's the consistency thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think fish and chips is a younger man's game. At 29, you've got plenty of miles in your legs and your back. Yeah, I'm sure you'll start to feel it. I was
going to say, give it a few years. You might be saying something different.
Yeah. Just change subject a bit. It's Pancake Day today. Have you been a tosser today?
always a tosser.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How do you like your pancakes? Just for the listeners.
As in toppings wise.
Yes. What do you like to put on a pancake?
Oh, I'm sweet all day. Yeah, Nutella, Biscoff, all of that.
Is it?
Yeah, as much of it as you can.
Now, your partner Jessica, how does she like her pancakes?
Oh, she's more of a savoury girl, you know.
Is she? Now, winning Fish and Chip Shop of the Year has to be the best day of your life, right? It's got to be up there.
It's up there at the moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I know you've got another 2 best days of your life coming.
Exactly.
Up.
That's why I'm just trying to enjoy this one now.
You're getting married in April.
That's right, mate.
Right?
April the 5th. Yeah.
And then Jessica's due to give you
just would get a little present.
Baby in June. You're gonna have a baby in June.
June the 1st with you, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a heck of a year, and you're going to turn 30 in between as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's in May, so just flat bang in the middle.
April, May, June.
Yeah, I feel like the rest of my life's going to be really dull now. Like this is
going to be you're topping, you're peaking really, really young.
Yeah, too soon.
How do you cope with how do you keep all your plates spinning?
Yeah, I've always just been quite a laid back guy, really. Just take things as take each day as it comes. Make sure everything's in order. Make sure everything's organised, and just roll with the punches. Really, yeah. There's certainly no big secret to it. It's just my mentality is to be quite chilled, and that's how I am.
Right. What advice would you give to people that want to get into your shoes and have the same career trajectory that you've got, because you seem to have gone down a very short runway and then just aimed for the stars.
Yeah.
And, you must have some. I want the gold. I want the diamonds. I want all the tips.
Yeah.
Tell me how.
A huge thing for me from the start has been recruitment, and I know it sounds really, really obvious, but it's not always been, and this might sound absolutely outrageous, but it's not always been going for the very best candidate initially. I've kind of been recruiting quite largely on personality, really, because, and this is not to cause any offence whatsoever, but the job isn't necessarily rocket science if you have all your processes in place. So you just need good, honest, hard-working people who are willing to get on board with your vision and with your dream and go on the journey with you. Over the years, from when I was younger with the other shop, sometimes higher on experience and ability, and you end up some right nutcases. So I've just gone down the road of we have got a selection of mature staff as well, more middle-aged staff, but bringing a lot of youth in as well has really energised the business, and that's been really good for us.
So when you interview somebody for a job, do you interview for a server? Do you interview for a fryer? Or do you interview and then decide you're smiley, personable, easy on the eye, I'm putting you on the till. Mm-hmm. You're ugly, look like you can cope under pressure. We'll stick you behind the rain.
No, we don't really hire fryers anymore. That's kind of a thing. What we've found works really well, and is we've had our most success with, is starting people on the front to get used to the shop. Give them 6 months there, get used to the pace of the shop, see the product coming out. Be able to serve the product, and then bring them into the back of house and learn to fry from there. So it's always kind of that carousel, really, of starting them on the front of house, spotting some potential, and then bringing them into the back. And that.
Do you normally buddy new people up with somebody who's experienced?
Yeah. We've always got a front of house supervisor, and they will just shadow them for a couple of weeks, and just to be able to get their heads around it. Yeah.
And then you identify skill gaps as they develop, and bring in extra training to make sure that they can do everything.
That's it, yeah. And you soon see people that show interest and team members that show interest in progressing or learning to fry or learning to cook fish, because in the quiet times they'll pop round and they'll just kind of watch and ask questions, and you think, yeah, well, you're showing all the right signs, so stick a white jacket on them and get them to put a few fish in and see how you get on, and put your faith in people. I think that's a huge thing. There's so many people that you can miss just by not putting a bit of faith in them.
Yeah, so you don't micromanage.
Absolutely not.
You let people take responsibility, take ownership of the job they're doing, and actually let them invest themselves.
Yeah, I'm not into micromanagement at all. I couldn't work like that. It wouldn't fit my psyche.
Yeah, it's better to work for professional pride as well as wages.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you can get that into your workforce, that's that's always better. So the front of the shop, the customer experience. Talk to me a little bit about how you manage that, because as I said at the start of this, I really want to give the listener every opportunity to emulate and to understand not only why you are a fish and chip champ, but how they can take a little bit away. How do you manage the customer's experience from the time they walk through your front door? Do you spend a little bit of time around the counter and make sure everything's right? Do you have like a startup procedure? And tell me how you handle a customer from the time they walk in to the time they leave.
Yeah, so the very first thing that we consider is appearance, and that's the appearance of the shop. It's always squeaky clean. We've got cleaning rosters for all parts of the shop that are done twice daily, just to make sure it's all looking nice and presentable. The staff, the team, the uniforms are all immaculate, all matching. It's a really smart uniform, so it's the first thing the customer sees. And we've actually had so much feedback over the years of, God, isn't that a smart uniform? And don't they look great in that uniform? And just try to change things that way a little bit, as opposed to the old tabards that you still see knocking about, which I have nothing against, but just trying to modernise it a little bit.
So would you say that you've got more of a corporate look to, even though you're only a single site, you've got that kind of big brand feel to how you present yourself?
That's what we've tried to achieve. Absolutely. Yeah. And simple things like making sure it's ironed, washed and ironed, and looking sharp. So yeah, that'll be the first thing, and then it just comes with the training, with the shadowing of the supervisors. We said is the big welcome into the shop. Hello, how are you doing? How's your day been? Etc. etc. And that's a must. That's a non-negotiable for us. And then just go on politely from there. The fryers, whether that's me, whether that's my manager who's in when I'm not there, we'll have a bit of crack from over the back of the range.
Yeah, it's important that banter. You get to know your customers so well,
it's
don't
huge.
you?
It's huge.
Yeah, really, and I think it gives you an edge over the multiples. We don't need to name them, but all the big boys, the big chains and stuff, they don't tend to do that. It's a very slick operation. But when you're in a location like yours, because you're not at the seaside, you're quite you're well inland.
Oh God, yeah.
You must have so much repeat customers, so many regular customers.
Absolutely.
That you almost need to not know their business, but know them by name, we by regularity.
Loads of the team, and myself included, we can have a conversation one week and carry that conversation on the next week. And it's lovely. And obviously, we do have the benefit of that with just being a single site. Like, I think if you were spread between 2 or 3 sites, it's a very different story. But we do have that privilege. And I know for a fact there's a few of our older customers that do return by and large for that little chat, because it's the only chat they'll get.
I think I think that's really one of the biggest strengths that fish and chips was built on, was the ability to have relationships with their own community and to connect with their community. It's almost like a community hub, isn't it? I want to change the subject and talk about a poll that's was in the news today from Martin Lewis about the average price of fish and chips. Did you see it?
I did. Yeah, I saw it briefly. Yeah.
There were a lot of comments that came through about some saying that I cook fish and chips at home, or it's too expensive. I don't go to the chip shop anymore. Obviously, you're gonna be given curveballs like that from the media, and you're going to be a natural target for them to respond to that. How would you deal with something like that?
I think first of all, it's such a vague question, really. Medium fish and chips price, small fish and chips price, large fish and chips price. You've really got to dive into the actual size of the product. There could be a shop down the road charging £6.50 for a regular cod and chips, and someone up the road charging a tenner, but it might be half the size. So
well, when you said your regular fish and chips is £10, how do you achieve that? Because I indicated that I'd struggle to do my fish and chips at £10, get my margins right. But what is the weight of your regular cod before you cook it, and a portion of chips? Help me to understand how you make your margin at a tenner. And
well, I think something that's quite important to touch on, and this is just quite specific. Well, it's not specific to us, but not everybody will have the buying power to do it. Is we do buy a lot of fish up front from suppliers to be able to keep the cost down a little bit.
Me too.
Yeah, and that if it's £10 a box, £15 a box saving that you can make on every box of fish when you're doing nigh on 40 boxes of fish a week, that really does, it helps hugely. So that's one thing. Portion control obviously comes into it massively as well. That starts with the fish cutting itself. We are 200 grams for our regular cod.
7 ounces in old money.
Yeah, I was just about to say I wouldn't have a clue in old money. I'm in my grams, and that again is a non-negotiable. I mean, you see, I don't know, on shops on TikTok and on Instagram Reels and whatnot, where they're chucking a fish down, cutting it into a few portions and sending it on its way. And that's never been an option for us, because you need your margins to be right. I would say that to anyone starting out, or even anyone just struggling along a little bit, get your margins perfect. So every single one of our regular fish is within a few grams of 200 grams. All of our cod bites are a huge seller for us. It used to be, back in the day, it was part of the waste, part of the trimmings. That's actually a core product for us now. We sell hundreds of them. So every single one of our cod bites is 30 grams, and we price it accordingly. So that's a huge factor. And then portion control for your chips as well. It's all about investing time into your staff training. And we do it almost daily.
Yeah, I always say profit's made when you're closed.
Yeah, it's a good show.
And customers are made when you're open. So the discipline has to be there. Yeah. Buy right. If you're a chip shop listening to this podcast and you're in the Midlands, 200 grams is never going to work.
No.
And but do you think that our trade organisation might be able to sort of set standards on what a regular cod and chips or regular fish and chips should be in size?
That's an interesting thought. Yeah,
I've had good conversations with members of the board at NFFF. I won't point anyone out in particular, but I've had conversations with them about it, and they've always quite rightly said it's a virtually impossible thing to police.
Yeah, it's true.
And then there's also the risk that you're actually you're forming some sort of cartel, or there might be legal reasons why you can't do it. But I thought that maybe a way around it would be to have some kind of fish and chip charter, and any shop that signs up to the charter could put something in the window and say, you are guaranteed a regular portion that is equal, that meets the charter of the.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thought. Yeah.
And a regular cod is 200 grams, or a regular fish is 200 grams. And that's something that could kind of swerve the legal challenges that could be made against it, because it's a voluntary thing that good operators have signed up to something. So maybe there's a conversation for that, further down the line. But it's interesting that, getting sizing right and there would eradicate a lot of people's arguments over what represents a good value for money portion and what doesn't.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a lot for one man and his trophy to tackle in 1 year. But we are just kicking ideas around here. So.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great shout. Yeah, just standardise things for the industry. Because I think when we alluded to it before, if the industry pulls together and works together, it's going to be a much brighter outlook for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if people actually looked for chip shops that had signed up to this because they knew what they were going to get for their money.
They knew they were getting good value, absolutely.
A fair portion for a fair price.
Yeah. Oh, it could take off, mate. I think we should get it rolling.
Well, you can claim it. I'm an old has been. I think if you want to take it forward. But that leads us on quite nicely, I suppose, to the competition itself. What would you change about the competition? And do you think that there should be obligations for a champion to maybe sit on the steering group for the next year, or commit to doing something with the federation? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to benefit massively from.
Yeah, well, you've took the words out of my mouth there. I think it is an obligation, and it should be an obligation to give back to the industry, give back to the National Federation of Fish Fries, because the publicity that you gain throughout the process is monumental. When we entered last year, even because we'd never entered before, so it was like it was new news for the area. No shops in our area had entered before, so it was kind of like it was a really big deal when we even made the top 40. Our trade increased overnight. We made the top 40 and just kept going and going and going. So I think it should be an expectation on the winner to step forward and to try and represent the industry in the best way possible, and yes, to work alongside the National Federation of Fish Fries and try and do some good things.
Yeah, I had a terrific time at the awards this year.
It was a very good awards.
It was really good. I enjoyed the format. I enjoyed the hosting.
The host, that was a huge win. I think Matt Baker.
He was amazing. I enjoyed the company. The people on my table were really nice. The one thing that really put a bit of, made the day a bit sour for me was 4 people called me Stelios.
That is heartbreaking.
I really thought that I'd grown clear of that.
I think you must just be the face of the podcast, mate. I think take it as a compliment.
Well, I mean, he is a good looking guy, and so I should be a little bit flattered, but I thought people knew who I was. I've been around for this trade for a long time.
Well, that's the thing. I knew your face. I recognise you instantly, but just couldn't quite place it.
No. Jokes aside, I did get called Stelios 4 times by 4 different people.
That's brilliant.
But I actually didn't mind. I used it to try and get.
I was going to say, do you just accept it and move on? Say, yeah, nice to meet you.
It was a good do, wasn't it? I I had a great time. I think if they mirror that again next year, they'll do really well.
Yeah, I think they got it bang on. Fair play to them, and a big thanks to them, all of the awards team. There's obviously guys in the background that probably don't get all the credit, but the organisation, the judging, everything, it was all brilliant, seamless.
Yeah. So, well, apart from that one little
the video tech problem, I know.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
I've seen that it's actually now online on socials.
Yes.
But I haven't watched it. Not yet.
Dead interested there.
I did watch a video today of Bobby Joyce playing the guitar and singing, which I thought was amazing. Really, really, he's a very
that's the content people want. I think get him up on stage. Get him up on stage next year.
Yeah, mate, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
Sort of while you're having the meal, get Bobby Joyce on stage with an acoustic guitar and just playing a few.
I think that works.
Yeah. You see, this is an ideas factory, isn't it, Will?
Absolutely.
You know, this is only the second time we've ever spoken, and we're just
we're flying.
We're producing gold.
I think maybe as an unexpected winner, I can maybe put this forward now, this idea.
Yeah. So, advice then, getting back on track. Anyone that wants to step up and take this award, come on. I want five bits of advice from you on what you would say to somebody. Hey, you're the new champ. I'm thinking about entering the awards. What do I have to do to win it? Is it cash in a brown envelope? do I have to have a Dutch range? Because I know you've recently bought a
just
new
gone
one.
Dutch yet.
What's it going to take?
I think
don't be humble.
No, I think there's a lot of kind of thoughts and conversations, certainly that we had about like MSc certification, all that type of thing surrounding the industry. But we're not MSc certified. But that's by the by. I think my first point would be to be extremely genuine and extremely honest about your operation, and really just champion the stuff that you know you're good at. Don't try and kind of flirt with ideas and flirt with knowledge that you may be not too clued up on and then get caught out at a later stage. Just really double down on the stuff that you're on top of. Be the first thing.
Shine at what you're good at, and don't try and pretend to be something you're not.
Yeah, and I think that's really worked for us. Yeah. Be ready, I think is another big one. If you're entering and you do make it into the top 40, you don't know what they're going to throw at you. To be fair, you've got a rough idea of the judging process, but there was mystery shop visits this year that we didn't have last year that we've only found out about after the event.
Yeah.
So that shocked me, to be fair, because we didn't get told about it. We didn't hear about it afterwards. Just nothing. So yeah, don't just be ready for the occasions, i.e. your Zoom call, your shop visit that you kind of know is just around the corner. Be ready from the moment that you enter the competition, because I think that they're definitely, not trying to catch you out, that's completely the wrong turn of phrase, but they're wanting to see you for what you really are. Verify. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So yeah, be ready, be genuine. Kind of covers. I think that kind of covers most of what we were about for our awards, anyway.
Great. Talking about MSc.
Just to interrupt. Really invest in making sure that your team know what the awards are about and why you're entering and what can come of it, and really give them an understanding rather than just, we're in the top 40, well done everyone, hopefully top 20 next. Kind of really drill it home that how important it is, how amazing they are for being able to get into the top 40, and yeah, bring them on the journey with you. That's my last piece for advice.
You can't win it on your own.
You've got
You got to do it with your whole team,
because you can't be. I mean, I was speaking to shops from the past. Obviously, wouldn't name any names, but where the shop visits coming up, so they're like there 12 hours a day, and I that wasn't my psyche at all. It was if I put my faith in the team, they know what they're doing. If I needed to be there for the shop visit, then I feel like I'd need to be there 24/7, regardless of any awards. So yeah, put your faith in your team.
Yeah, great advice. So coming back to the thing you said, how you don't have the MSc accreditation. On my table were two people from MSc, and we had a great conversation about MSc accreditation. And Stelios also had a conversation with Andrew Crook on a recent podcast about MSc, and Andrew Crook said, "Watch this space."
Okay.
At this moment in time, I just want to say, Stelios asks difficult questions. Stelios he's not a bad person. He just asks the questions that people want answers to. And he does get it in the neck sometimes. But he asked Andrew the right questions, and Andrew said, "Watch this space." And I thought I'd use the opportunity to chat to the guy from the MSc. And he said, we're working with the NFFF. He just reinforced what Andrew said about finding a workable scheme that's affordable for people to subscribe to, and that can be administered by the NFFF with the MSc.
Right.
And I said to this guy, "That's all well and good, and I appreciate that. And there's a certain level of operator out there that really appreciates that, but there's a bigger problem with the MSc." And he said, "Well, what's the bigger problem?" I said, "Well, in the supermarkets, people see the blue tick, and they may know what it means, or they may not know what it means, but they're paying proper money in the supermarkets for fish, and the blue tick means something in a supermarket. Right. But people that buy their fish and chips from a fish and chip shop, they don't understand what the blue tick stands for." I said, and before you can even hope to put a deal together with the NFFF, you need to get onto Seafish's case. A third of the fish coming into the UK is being sold through fish and chip shops. There's a levy on all the fish coming into the UK, which means Seafish's funding from that levy, a third of it, should be going back into fish and chip shops.
Got you.
But it doesn't.
Yep.
Seafish spend all of their money on wages, on pensions, on working with supermarkets, with working with processors, and not enough money from Seafish comes back into fish and chips. And I said to him, the biggest problem the MSc has got is the average man on the street doesn't know what the fuck MSc stands for. Yeah. Excuse my French. You're allowed to swear. You're allowed to swear. I'm not. But I think the biggest problem that the MSc has got in getting into fish and chip shops, there's not many fish and chip shops would pay any price to be able to put that blue tick in their window, because it means nothing to their customers.
Very true. It doesn't seem to add much value to the shop at all, does it?
And this was something that was also voiced by somebody I respect hugely from the podcast as well, David Nicolau, who again talks about difficult subjects. I'm a bit more fluffy, but they make really serious points. And for the MSc to really have value in the fish and chip industry, and for the NFFF to get behind it and find something that works, I think you need to put the horse back in front of the cart. Yeah. And actually make MSc mean something to somebody who pulls up outside a fish and chip shop. Yeah. Because when they see that in the window, they think, "Oh, that's a cute little fish sign. Yeah. I'm going to go
with absolutely no knowledge attached to it at all."
Yeah. So, a little bit of seriousness there. But the fact that our champion isn't even, paying to use the MSc speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And from a personal point of view, and with the knowledge that we've got in the industry, we would never obvious. I mean, it goes without saying, but we'd never buy anything that isn't MSC certified. So we and this is the thing. We always. So we're aware of the sustainability issues. We want to support the sustainability issues, and we always would. That's just how we are. And I think that's how the majority of shops are.
The industry's like that anyway. So
of course it is.
Why do we need to pay to shout about it with a scheme that the general public don't really, consumers don't get excited about?
Yeah, because no one else is going to peddle the line of what it's about. You're not going to see it in the news or anything, are you? So
no, it's not a key driver for consumers at all. But yeah, I thought it was just worth mentioning.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't want to get heavy and bring the mood down.
No, you're very clued up on it all, so it's good to listen to.
I'm clued up. They say if you want to be a cat, don't hang out with the rats. I'll let you into a little secret. A lot of people know it anyway. I'm quite stupid, but I hang around with smart people, so that pays off.
Yeah, surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I've taken up quite a bit of your time.
Oh, not at all.
This is the Will Burrell Show. I want to give you an opportunity to thank a few people, get any messages out there that you want to get out there. These are your listeners. They've not tuned in to listen to me. They've tuned in to find out as much as they can about the new champ. This is your stage. Just anyone you want to thank, anything you want to say, anything you want to do, and then you can go and be a tosser because it's Pancake Day and the night is young.
Absolutely. So I think it does go without saying, and not everyone might agree, but genuine, heartfelt thanks goes out to the National Federation of Fish Fryers for the opportunity that they provide. Without them, these awards probably wouldn't be here in this capacity. Couldn't say that for definite, but
I agree. I don't think they would be here. They would have been sadly lost, and it's given me so much.
Yeah,
previous 18 years ago, I was in your shoes. 18 years.
That's scary, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was even thinner then than I am now.
Impossible. But yeah, so that the genuine thanks to the NFFF and the awards team that make it all possible. It's given us a huge opportunity to go and do some big things this year, and would like to give back. So to Andrew, to Caroline, to Gisette, to Leslie, they're all the guys that you're really in contact with throughout the process and afterwards. So genuine thanks to them, and I think I genuinely believe the industry is a better place with them guys in it. Huge thanks to the customers who keep coming back week on week and supporting us. It blows my mind how often you see the same people back through the doors, and it really is that bit of validation that you're doing something right. Because if you're not questioning yourself, then you can't really move forward. Big thanks to the team around me. That's all the guys on the ground. Our team of 11 strong now, which will soon be growing with our expansion.
New restaurant. How long before that opens?
So it's looking like about 7 or 8 weeks at the moment. So you could either call it perfect timing or the worst timing imaginable. Not really sure at the moment.
Have you done a restaurant? Have you done a restaurant before? Have you done a sit down before?
Done a cafe, much more of a cafe at the Barnard Castle shop. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's putting it on a plate, isn't it? So, but hopefully we can just ride this wave. We've got the team to do it. We've got the expertise, and we've got the support when it all comes back round to it of the guys in the NFFF and wider, obviously, who are so happy to help, so happy to advise, all saying, anything you need, we'll be there. So that's really reassuring. So that's great. Yeah. And a big shout out to the fiance and the wife to be and mother of my child. big support at home. Nothing's too much bother. The amount of plans we've had to cancel over the years is horrific. And she's a nurse in the NHS. Well, she's in a management role now. So for her to have to deal with that, we've lost Coldplay tickets before. So that's about as bad as it gets for her. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to see Coldplay in August.
Are you
actually.
really?
Yeah. Do you want my tickets?
Yes, please. I'll pass them over to Jessica. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll speak to the fun adjuster and see if she wants to give them up.
But yeah, and I don't know if I've mentioned my mum and dad, but
they deserve a shout out.
They deserve a massive shout out. Yeah. Probably don't get the credit they deserve. I've learned everything I know from them, and yeah, the support is unbelievable.
I could see the pride on Graham's face when you went up to collect the trophy.
Yeah, it's a lot of years. It's a lot of years of work, and when it all comes to that moment, it's overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like a good place to stop. Thank you so much for jumping on, putting up with the technical issues.
Not at all.
And I need to thank my producer Stelios for the opportunity to because I'm sure that you would have been someone he would have loved to have spoken to, and he let me do it. So very
kind.
I'm really grateful.
What a gent.
He is. Yeah. He really is.
But no, thank you to you as well, mate. You've been very, very kind. Cheers.
I know that we're going to be rubbing shoulders and moving around the same rooms in the future, and I can't wait. I can't wait to put a beer in your hand and catch up with you again in the flesh.
That sounds good to me, mate.
That's a wrap on today's episode with Mark Petrou and Will Burrell from Yarm Road Fish and Chips in Darlington. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What stood out to you? Join the Ceres Podcast discussion group on Facebook and let's get the conversation going. At Ceres, we're all about supporting your business, whether it's with top quality products like the fish cake mix or valuable insights and articles, market reports, news stories, first person opinion pieces, our calculators to help supercharge your business. Go ahead and find them on our website. If there's something on your mind, reach out to us because we'd love to absolutely hear from you. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.